What's up, Guardians? Profane here. Thanks for checking out the video. Now that the first week of Destiny 2 Lightfall is coming to a close, we have an opportunity to reflect back on all the things that have transpired over this past week. A lot has happened in just a few short days, and after several hours invested into playing Lightfall so far, there's quite a few things that I wish I knew before I started playing. So I'd like to share these with you, in hopes that it can make your journey through Destiny 2 Lightfall a little more cohesive and sensible. The release of Lightfall was highly anticipated and overly hyped up by Bungie, with the new Strand subclass as its forerunning showhorse. In the few months leading up to Lightfall, Bungie started shelling out the details as to what changes would be made to make Guardians' lives more streamlined and less complicated, so that you can ultimately spend more time playing. But I don't think anyone truly realized what we were getting ourselves into, because things seemed convoluted, more so than they have ever been. And it starts with new Light Guardians. Many had hoped that Lightfall would introduce a way to bridge the gap in the disconnect between the new Light questline and Destiny's current real-time story and content. But to much dismay, once Guardians complete the introductory quest, they're essentially left to their own accord, having to figure out who all of these characters are, why they're important, and worst of all, not really knowing what they should do to catch up with the rest of their friends, without the use of hitting up a YouTuber and watching a 5-hour Bife video. And speaking of story, Lightfall's storyline seems horrendously botched and poorly retconned, and it comes off more as a segue into the final shape than it does its own independent expansion. After completing the story and several of Lightfall's side quests and missions, which are a necessary process if you hope to learn the full levity of the story, I just feel like this is inevitably turning out to be a bad Marvel movie. There's the grizzlied veteran who's close to retirement, followed by his young, arrogant, wisecracking ward. Osiris feels like a pissed off Doctor Strange, taking every opportunity to criticize and brute. The Tormentors look like Red Hulks. Nimbus and his boards got me thinking Galactus is going to come in at any minute and take a big bite out of Neptune. And Callus has turned out to be the maniacal, genocidal maniac that we all grew to hate in Thanos. Between the confusing origins, powers, and motivation of the Witness, the introduction of Nezarec, the retconning of Vale, and its connection to the Traveler, and just what the hell was that mystery portal? Everything just seems forced, patched together, leaving most Guardians trying to figure out what the hell they just spent the last 3.5 hours doing. Bungie has stated that Lightfall's story will be ongoing, and that more will develop over the upcoming months. But that really just pushes home that this is all a lead-in towards the final shape, and Lightfall is nothing more than a cash grab. Don't get me wrong, as a Guardian who has spent years playing, I have definitely enjoyed Lightfall, but that also comes from having a broader perspective that newer Guardians wouldn't have going in. And with perspective in mind, Guardian ranks were introduced as a way to represent one's path through the journey of Destiny, as a portrayal of their achievements. Guardian ranks are also a way to help guide new Light Guardians through the game, but it's poorly done and provides no narrative or real context to what it means to become Legend. One simply just needs to know how to upgrade armor and weapons and do a few things here and there, and bam, you're rank 6, just like all the other Guardians who have been here for years. The results of Guardian ranks are what I compare to the everyone is special, everyone gets a trophy complex that has become a fundamental in school systems over the last few decades. What's worse about Guardian ranks is its inclusion of commendations. At the end of each activity, you're able to give your fellow teammates a scorecard, and for whatever reason, Bungie decided to tie this score into your Guardian ranks, making Guardian ranks and commendations both completely pointless, outside of the rewards and XP that's earned by completing the challenges. With Strand being such a focal point for Bungie's marketing team, I was overly ready to jump right in and start using Strand, but sadly, this at first gets tied into short segments of the Lightfall campaign. Even once completing the entirety of the campaign, Strand fragments, grenades, and aspects must all be unlocked through a very grueling and time-consuming process of collecting Strand meditation, all while having a ton of other missions and side quests thrown your way, making it all feel more overwhelming than cohesive. The new mod system was specifically changed to be more cohesive, but it's been anything but. The new armor charge functionality has been poorly explained, as is the case with many of the new mods, forcing Guardians to use alternate sources, like Light GG, and Reddit to figure out how these new mods function. While I will admit, having fewer mods is a bonus, and not having elements tied to its armor is even more awesome. Everything about the new mod system though, and build crafting, just makes me miss the old mod system more, where I didn't have to go chase down orbs all the time to trigger my buffs. These new build crafting slots are nice, but it doesn't make me use Destiny Item Manager any less. I get that this new system has likely made the coding and programming processes much easier for Bungie, but it really just feels like slavery with extra steps, to quote the famous Rick Sanchez. Lightfall has introduced a new crossover collaboration with Among Us, but like many of the awesome new cosmetics in Lightfall, the eververse seems to have the most, requiring either bright dust or silver, forcing you to either open your wallets or numb your ass over hours of gameplay. While we're only a week into Lightfall, this expansion has been riddled with glitches, invisible guardians and matchmaking, overpowered exotics and supers, tons of exploits to recommendations and power leveling, broken quest lines that leave guardians stuck, and error codes up the wazoo. And are we seriously not going to do anything about Gambit? No, of course not. But let's continue to broaden the reach of Battlegrounds by all means. The glitches and programming issues will surely get resolved over the upcoming weeks, but are we really going to continue shelling out new content while abandoning all of these other activities like Wellspring, Dares of Eternity, and Gambit? These other activities deserve some attention too, and the addition of new encounters and challenges within these would provide far more enjoyment to the Guardians, who are already farming them for weekly pinnacles and powerful gear. Sometimes it does feel like a matter of quality over quantity. I'm not sure if these fallacies come from the influence of Sony, or if this is playing out much like the Simpsons movie, where much of the main writers were swapped off of the show and put onto the movie, leaving the show to suffer, hoping for big results out of the movie. Could we be seeing the same here with Bungie? Kevin Yates did just state that he is moving on to a new project with Bungie. Could this be an early sign of Destiny movies or TV spots? Or is Bungie investing that heavily into their next game franchises after Final Shape? It's unclear for now, but I'd love to hear what your thoughts are in the comments below. And if you've played Lightfall over the last week, what your impressions have been. While much of this video may come off as me bashing Bungie and Destiny 2 Lightfall, I am still an adamant lover of the game, the story, the history, and remain excited for the future. I love Strand and I love the grapple. I'm just getting a little more cautiously optimistic, rather than naively so. And with that being said, I thank you for checking out today's video. If you enjoyed and found it helpful, then be sure to hit that like button below, along with the subscribe button if you're new. Both are greatly appreciated, and both really do help support the channel. If you're a new Light Guardian just starting your journey, or a battle-hardened veteran just looking for a new home, then be sure to check out the Discord link in the description below, and join one of the greatest communities in all of Destiny. And until next time, Guardians, this has been Profane, wishing you all some happy hunting.